All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. We got a special guest. Jeff Young is back, and he's about to go on tour. Tour dates are up on the screen for anybody who'd like to support Jeff Young, who has been helping us get out the word about the Gematria knowledge since 2015. He'd love to see the Truth Seekers at his show. And again, some of the people who went out to his shows earlier this year got to meet Jeff in person. But the tour does start in Illinois February 16th and ends conveniently on the Ides of March in Atlanta, Georgia, March 15th. And Jeff, you said there's something else you guys are doing even before that?
Yeah, next weekend, the Days of the Dead convention. Also in Atlanta, on the 33rd parallel.
Okay. Days of the Dead. Okay. Old 33. Yeah. How do you feel about this? Are you excited about this tour? How long has it been since you were on tour like this?
I did a couple tours with a duet that I was doing in Vegas several years back. It was just like a mom and pop operation, so there wasn't an entourage. Just a couple singers, songwriters on the road.
Okay.
So this is the first full-blown like tour bus. Record deal. You know, we did 4, we called them beta test or proof of concept shows. San Diego, Phoenix, Arizona. I got to tell you about that place. What a trip.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that. You just did the shows on the West Coast, and then it looks like the tour is skipping the West Coast.
Las Vegas, Sin City. They don't call it Sin City for nothing. I lived there a few years.
Right.
And it culminated at the Whiskey A Go-Go on the Strip. And we had a multi-camera shoot and multi-track audio recording. Cleopatra Records was in the audience. I think people would get a kick if you could Google their website at cleorex.com. You can pre-order the DVD, double CD. It's releasing in March. It's called Kings of Thrash, Best of the West, live at the Whiskey A Go-Go. We could probably show them that on the screen.
Let's get it up.
You can see the cover and the...
Yeah.
Is their logo there?
It is. It's the eye, of course. So
I sent that as soon as we knew we were signed with this label. I sent that to Zach and he said, wouldn't you know it?
Yeah.
So the head of the company, and he's really cool. He's like, I call him the anti-Clive Davis. If anyone knows what Clive Davis looks like and any of his antics in the music business, this guy looks like Tommy Bolin. He's like a long hair. He's really tall. Looks kind of Native American. He looks like a rock star. So he's the kind of record company guy you'd want to, if you got to have one. Because this is, although they have a lot of artists, it's a smaller label. And a lot of the stuff is they're redistributing things, licensing things, putting things out on vinyl. He's really big on vinyl, which this release is coming out on DVD and double CD, as you see there on the Cleopatra website. But in summer, just because of the wait to get vinyl press, it's coming out on vinyl.
Okay.
As well, which we're all excited about because it's a big, you can hold it. It's like the old days back in the 70s. You could actually enjoy the record and read the print, read the fonts, because it wasn't so small. You had to get a magnifying glass out to dissect, where it was recorded and what gear the band used and who produced it and where. So that was the first 4 shows, and we got the deal, and now we got a tour. We're doing...
Indeed.
It's going to be the best of the Midwest.
Yeah, that's what it looks
That'll
like.
be the next album. I'm sure we'll record some of these shows.
Yeah.
And then best of the East when we go to Japan. You get the drift.
Sure. Who's responsible for choosing the tour dates?
It's kind of like, I mean, imagine you're trying to play all these different cities, and you got to go in some kind of a logical order, and you got to find the venues who are available.
Right.
And it's a lot in flux, and you don't really know till the last minute because everything's kind of in play. You know, it's kind of like the gig stock market, and other bands have gigs on hold, and they could pull out at the last minute, and then a date frees up at that venue. Oh yeah, you can play that night.
I see.
Or no, that band's going to take that date, and then you got to either find a different city, a different venue. So it's a whole. So we have a booking agent.
I see.
Agent, they book Lamb of God and Megadeth and Zakk Wylde from Ozzy, and he's out with Pantera, doing that Pantera reunion right now.
I see. Yeah, I think it's funny you got the magic numbers. You start on the 47th day of the year, and then 27 days later on the 74th day of the year for the first tour. So perfect for a rock show.
So that's why we need a lot of truth seekers to come out and have my back. We should tell them all the cities. If you're near any of these cities, come on out. We're trying to get a virtual street team legion of folks to help us promote the gig and get folks out. You know, because the climate for even bigger bands, and you know, luckily we have the Megadeth name in our history, and that we're OGs of that lineage. But you know, for new bands and even big bands, the ticket sales is so hard right now. People, I think it's working. They're really entraining people to just stay in their house.
Sure.
People are afraid to go out. They're afraid they're going to get sick because they don't know how, you know,
right,
how illness really begins, you know, from within, and it's your own system that's toxic and that has to purge that shit. So
the meta mindset.
The ticket sales, you know, for every band, like the biggest bands, as they tell us, I can't even believe, like, you take a big band like Steel Panther, who usually sells out everywhere they play, they're selling like 60%. You know, so I think it's working. In no uncertain terms, people are staying home. They're also broke. You know, especially in America, touring outside of America, you know, I think it's harder for us, like we're here, so to get our stuff out of here and go to Europe or we have offers from Australia, New Zealand, and Japan for later in the year, and South America.
Well, that's exciting.
I'm sure all the countries are suffering the same kind of mind control.
Sure.
Because, you know, it's a new world order. Right?
The new COVID mindset, right?
It's a holistic undertaking that they're employing.
Right. Have you guys
What I want to implore is people come out, don't be afraid. And even if you don't think you like thrash music or Megadeth, you'll still like this band. I think a lot of people who are starting to see the DVD, they're amazed how musical it is. And there's every style of music interweaved throughout the night from, you know, there's of course metal, but there's jazz and blues and flamenco and classical. And if you go watch on the Kings of Thrash YouTube channel, our second to latest video, we got the newest one's a shout out we got on Eddie Trunk on his show, but the latest is it's like a teaser, and it's actually the opening of the DVD, and you can hear it sounds like something out of Mozart or out of the opera. And that's actually one of the pieces from the performance that night.
Very
that
cool.
opens the that you'll see in that. So don't be shy, folks. Come out and say hi. Actually, when I played Vegas, one of the Truth Seekers came out and gave me a GematriaEffectNews t-shirt.
I believe that was Rick James. Shout out to Rick James. So
They came out in the top hat. Is that him?
I believe that's who it was, indeed.
Yep, I'm taking that on tour with me. I'll be wearing that proudly all across the Midwest.
Very cool. Very cool. By the way, guys, if you want to subscribe, Kings of Thrash does have a YouTube page as well. Just started up recently. Again, this band just came together recently, and they have been put on some great shows. So if you guys are in the region, that they're going to be touring Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, Missouri, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, back to New York, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. That's the first leg of the tour. So, Jeff, do you know what ticket prices are going for?
I don't. I think because I think at different venues it's different, and they have a variety of price range depending on where you sit.
Sure.
And there's VIPs and stuff.
Okay.
We always meet people before, like I think like an hour before doors, and do photos and autographs. And
sure. Yeah, but Jeff is serious, you guys. He'd like to see the Truth Seekers there because he is a little bit worried. He's been speaking out for years. He's like, what's up with these tour dates? Need some Truth Seekers there, like he said, to make sure you got his back. And for all you guys who leave the comments like, you guys are shills. I mean, how can you say we're shills? All we've ever done is put out good information to wake people up. I mean, you guys got to wake up. There's been some stupid comments left like that. There always are, so. How do you feel about that, Jeff?
I can say what I wanted to say is, I mean, I wanted to call in and talk about the tour, sure, but what's been a trip, because like, what year did we meet? Was it 20? I know we were doing stuff in
the end of 2015, I want to say, or the very beginning of 2016. It was around that time. It was before Prince died.
Well, way before that.
Yeah.
You were coming on my show several times. Like when the Vanity thing happened, I didn't even have your phone number at that point. We didn't know each other that well. Remember, I wrote you the email, and I even remember kind of what I said in the email. I was like, I know she's not like Beyonce or that famous, but this is really suspect. Denise Matthews, it's the day of the Grammys.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Well, that's 2016, so it had to be 2015, Matt.
It was around there, yeah.
And I asked you if you do a decode, and I thought you'd just send me a paragraph back privately, just to me. And then you ended up doing that YouTube video, and then you came on my radio show, and we recreated that YouTube video, and I had you say the same thing. And that's the cool thing, is that even though you're on channel 25 now, that episode's still safe and sound on the Music Without Boundaries archives.
Indeed. If you guys are not familiar with Jeff's radio show, Music Without Boundaries with Jeff Young, if you do a web search for that, you will find his show. And everything is archived, including that episode from way back when. So, you know what's funny? It never dawned on me. Oh, no, you changed it. Okay, you changed it. I see. You took the thing from the Public Enemy and changed your artwork on your thing. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Okay. I was like, wait a minute. You've had that all this time?
That's a tribute.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. So
what they're going to do is when the grid goes down, they won't be listening to Music Without Boundaries.
Right. Or anything. Right.
You know where a cooler place to go? Actually, go to Facebook and go to the Music Without Boundaries radio show.
Okay. Let me see.
Page. I'm definitely not going to I'm not going to drink any drinks that aren't sealed on this tour.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
You want to know a funny story about that from back in the day? And this just speaks to what a shitbag Dave Mustaine is. Because he was so insecure. Because first of all, I had this amazing guitar tone. I had this like stereo guitar tone and modified Marshalls. And my guy, Lee Jackson, would even fly out you know, and it's sound check. We were touring with Ronnie James Dio, and that was probably when he flew out, and he'd make sure my rig was just roaring, right? You can go back on YouTube and listen to videos from that era and hear it, but we were over in Europe touring, and I had so much low end in my guitar sound that we literally had to duct tape the speaker cables into the cabinets because I'd chunk on some cords and the speaker cables would just blow out of the back of the cabinet, out of the back of the cabinets, right? And it sounded really killer, you know, especially for the late 80s. It was a tone ahead of its time, and he was really jealous of that. As I later learned just how jealous or butthurt he was about my guitar tone. So over in Europe, I'd go out, like the first tune, I'd be, you know, not even, you know, 8, 16, 24 measures into the song, and one of my amps would blow out every night. And then at sound check the next day, it was working. And then I'd play and it would blow out during the show. And by like the 4th or 5th time that happened, and I remember the venue when that was the last straw, because it was Hammersmith Odeon. And that's where Thin Lizzy, which is one of my favorite bands, recorded Live and Dangerous. And it happened. So it was like an honor. And I was so stoked to play that gig. And it happened that night. And that was it. I shipped my Marshall back from Europe to LA to have Lee look at it and see what the hell. As I continued on the tour on half power, you know, half tone.
Sure.
He called me up. He says, Jeff, he goes, who's switching out the fuses in your amp? I go, what? He goes, well, I sent you out on the road. He sent me out with a bag. I mean, in fuses, like they're less than $1, 50, 75 cents. I had a bag of like 50 of them in my drawer. In my amp, I had like 2 amps and a refrigerator rack with all my effects. He said, who's switching out your fuses? He goes, I put a new fuse in, it's working fine. I boxed it up and shipping it back to you. So I had to pay whatever the shipping was, you know, to expedite back from Europe to LA and then back to Europe.
Sure.
At my expense, because I later found out Mustaine was paying my guitar tech to switch out the fuses in my amp. Then he put the right fuses in the next day and then the wrong fuses before the show.
Crazy.
And what I'm leading up to with what made me think of these stories was when I said I'm not going to be drinking any liquids that don't come in a sealed container. I'll be making sure to get as many of my own things with my daily per diem money, food. I won't be eating any of the backstage catering.
Sure.
So I see the other band members eat it first.
Sure.
But no, later, and it's still somewhere on YouTube, and I didn't realize this till many, many years later. He had that, he's in some interview, Shitstain says that the guitar tech was spitting in my water bottles every night.
Really? Really?
Like, you know, your sports, we had like this type of bottles you'd have when you go to the gym, like a sports. So there's that.
Sure. And for all the people,
different twist on Murdered by Numbers lyrics, slipping something in someone's drink. But
right. And
be careful nonetheless. So truth seekers, you can always bring me some
bottled water,
healthy liquids. I don't drink alcohol. But.
Sure. Yeah. In the early days of knowing each other, former bandmate Nick Menza died in a very ritualistic way at the Baked Potato. And
on stage, about 4 songs in, had a heart attack. Died DOA. And you know what a trip is? He's playing with Chris Poland, who's in that DVD, who's just out on tour with us. He's the original guitar player from Megadeth, who I replaced Chris. And so Chris, you got the first 2 guitar players from Megadeth playing in the Kings of Thrash. Chris is like a special guest because he's a little older than us and he's got a wife and kid, and he manages a huge rehearsal studio in LA, downtown LA. It's like 260 rooms. It's a big job for him. So he can't just take off gallivanting around the world with us.
Sure.
for lots of us. So he comes in and out as a special guest.
I see.
But we always get, depending on where we are, we'll have special guests pop up for some surprise jams in the encore. But we're performing the first and third Megadeth album in their entirety. The first one is Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. And then the one I played on, which is So Far So Good, So What.
Makes sense.
And it's brutal music to play. I mean, it's very technical, very complicated. As soon as I hang up, I'll be practicing until I go to bed and
Sure.
until we hit the road. And we've been working this stuff hard. It's very technical. I mean, you could only compare it to, like what a classical quartet would do, except you're putting it through Marshall amps.
Sure. How's the muscle memory? So once upon a time you were playing that, but how's the recall years later? Is it still there? Or is it a lot of practice to get it back?
Both. There's muscle memory, and back in the day, what I did to learn, like Chris, the guy that I replaced, I went down to Capitol Records and got the 2-inch master tapes and then soloed his tracks, his solos and his rhythms and Mustaine's rhythms. And luckily I held onto those cassette tapes to this day, I guess for just this reason.
Sure.
And so that helped me. I have a cassette player and I had to go old school, and I threw that into my digital thing, and I work it up with an app, and I can slow it down by 5 cents. And because we go through every measure, because it's very intricate stuff, and it is very technical. But the good thing is, that was 1988, 89 when I did that, and I'm a much better musician, like all of us. 2 of the guys in our band are half our age. Our drummer and our singer, guitar player in the middle, but David Elson and myself, the OGs from Megadeth, we've lived 10 lives since then.
Sure.
And so hopefully, and I've done the world music thing, lived in Brazil. I got to live in another country and look from the outside in at America and Americans, and, see it from a totally different perspective, which I think is really helpful when we're looking at the kind of stuff we look at in this community.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing it way better than we did back in the day. And, everyone who's coming to see us say we sound better than Megadeth. So there it is. And we got more Megadeth members in this project than the actual Megadeth, because they only have the one character. And we got 3. So there you go. We got that magic 3 number.
Indeed. Yeah, everything I've heard is awesome. And by the way, if you guys do meet Jeff, the one word he does not want to hear is that he sounds extraordinary. You want to give him the reason for that, Jeff?
Yeah, the same reason people need to get hip to the alien psyop.
Sure.
I don't think... that saying, common sense eludes most people.
Truly.
It's like the simplest thing you can do, even at the beginning of this kind of research, is just breaking words down into their basic form. And, aliens, of course, A and dash LIE, just like believe, like we always say. And, they're lying about aliens.
Sure.
I had a guy from the CIA, and DOD come on my radio show and confirm that fact, because he worked for Michael Aquino. If you want to pull that character's image up, pull him up and look at, this is one of the most decorated military shitbags. Pull up Michael Aquino.
Let's see.
With those goofy Grandpa Munster eyebrows of his, his medals of honor and shit. His job, first of all, he broke off from Adam LaVey's Church of Satan and started the Church of Set. Get a better picture. There's just search images.
There we go.
There you go. Get that one right there, the second from the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. I mean, and like when you're in the military and you go with your eyebrows like that, you're not gonna see And he was on Oprah and Phil back in the day. And so he's the Church of Set, but yet there he is, one of the most decorated military officers in our lineage, right, in our history. His job, he's in charge of psychological operations, and the guy who came on my show was his assistant and helped bring down the pedophile ring at the Presidio Air Force Base up near San Francisco. This guy is the guy responsible for the Roswell lie right there. That's the guy. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So back to extraordinary, just break the word down. Extraordinary. So if you're telling someone, this is like, with the best of intentions, how people, they don't understand the spell casting and the curses that they put on themselves and on others by saying things with the best of intentions that they don't really understand the power of words, right?
Truly.
Maya Angelou said words are things. I mean, they have a power, they have a frequency. The reason they do this and the way they constructed this language and why so many words like 113 and all the words that mean the same thing, from bullshit to dishonesty to infidelity, it's that frequency. And all those things exist in that frequency, right?
Truly.
Hermeticism. Just like the word amen is a curse that actually cancels out your prayer, right? Of course, and everyone every day, this is their prayer, and they say amen without even understanding. But extraordinary, when you say that to someone, you're saying you're not just ordinary, dude. You're less than ordinary. You're beyond ordinary. Right? So we could really learn a lot and probably save a lot of arguing if we would just break words down to their basic form and really understand what they mean. Right?
Truly. I've always thought about how many people are lying and begging somebody to believe them, the word with lie right in the middle. So,
and just like the word conspiracy theorist, it's when we come to this, it's the first word that is going to get thrown at you when you tell anyone who hasn't been exposed to anything other than the official narrative, right?
Indeed.
But they have no concept of where that phrase came from and who coined the term.
Indeed.
The Catholic Intelligence Agency, right? And then they give you a movie like Conspiracy Theory, and they have Mel Gibson acting like a loon throughout the movie, which puts that in everyone's mind, right? That's the first time you probably ever heard that word conspiracy theory was with that movie, right?
Sure. 90s.
The funny thing is, if you watch the intro where there's like a lot of loud music, he's in a cab and he's just randomly telling a passenger in his cab, he's just stream of consciousness, spitballing all these different conspiracy theories. A ton of them are true, but they're going by so fast and it's so noisy. And like you're in a theater with your date and you're not analyzing what he's saying, but he is spitting some truth right there, right?
Sure.
And then they give you Alex Jones, who's like best friends with Mustaine. Like Elsa was telling me he's been backstage at Megadeth shows.
Huh.
And I was going, dude, what is that like? And I say right in the room, I go, Mustaine and Alex Jones alone in a room together, nothing good could ever come from that. Right?
Right.
So they give the public that guy. And so now he's attached to the word conspiracy theory and he's crazier than,
Truly.
He's like Mel Gibson in that movie on acid.
Right. Right.
So that term, I mean, it's branded, it's ruined, and people can get around it. When they don't even understand, right in their own workplace, there could be it happened at the guitar company where one of the guitar companies I endorsed, the CEO died of cancer, and his son and the CEO were conspiring and fleecing the company for money, and it put this guitar company in dire straits, and they're still recovering from it, right? I mean, they had a conspiracy going. It's just 2 people.
Sure.
Maybe 3 people, 10 people, 1,000 people. A new world order, the UN.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Jeff, before it slips out of my mind, there's a young lady out there who would really like to interview you. You might be familiar with her channel. She actually started her YouTube channel interviewing musicians, and her name's Allie. Her YouTube channel is Net Void.
Cool. I think I've seen you on her channel.
Yeah, she would like to do an interview with you. If I got her contact information, would it be okay to pass it on to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that would make her day. So she watched your guitar lesson and really enjoyed that. She's learning to play herself. So
this is the thing about the tour ending in Atlanta. It was supposed to go 2 weeks longer. I'm actually calling the booking agent to kind of pitch it, because why would we end in Atlanta to drive back to, you know, all the way from Atlanta?
Sure.
I live in LA. Elson lives in Arizona. Other cats live between LA and San Diego. So I'm trying to we were going to do some stuff in Texas on the way back, maybe more in Arizona. So we'll see if it continues.
Okay. It all depends on the sales, huh?
Will it all end that night on the Ides of March?
Hopefully not.
What will happen to your buddy JY?
Yeah. Hopefully, let's definitely hope we're not getting any crazy headlines like that. But yeah, I know you just never.
This band we're so new, and we're so far from like bands like Beyonce or Jay-Z or even Megadeth. You know, even any of the big bands that are out there. And the intent, like 2 of our guys in the band, they're in their 30s, right? Our singer actually wouldn't tell to look at him. He's a lawyer by day.
Really?
For the unions. Yeah, he does something with unions.
Huh.
And then our drummer is a graphic designer. He did the album cover, and he does all our posters.
That's cool.
These are smart kids. They're the drummer's from Peru.
Huh.
And he's a beast. You know, any drummers out there, you need to come and see this kid play, because he's like a Randy Rhoads on drums. He's just like so good. And he's woke. No, let me rephrase that. I hate the word woke. He's awake.
Sure.
And for his young age, and he's totally killing on the gematria already.
Very cool.
Killing it. I explained it all to him on the tour bus on the first 4 dates. I was telling the crew, the bus driver got all into it. I'm sure he's subbing your channel. I was telling him all about the sports, and the guy who owns the bus company, I sent him some stuff just over the weekend about all the stuff that the futures that he called. And I even sent him, who was that in Vegas? Yeah, right. The Matrix collecting his money. Sure.
We're already 3 drummers have already died this year in 38 rituals, for people who are keeping count. Modest amount.
Is it 69, the drum number?
It's 38. The drummer number, 38. 38.
What's the drummer number, 38?
Yeah, just like death. Because
Neil Peart.
I got to go back and look at Neil Peart. His was at the beginning of the year too when he passed.
This was what I wanted to say most of all, because most of the people I've heard, you know, you got several people who've been with you for a spell, but I don't think there's many that have been watching as much as I have, because I have the luxury. I don't have a 9 to 5, and I'm here in front of my computer practicing, you know, from morning till night on my guitar. So when I'm not having to do things that require quiet, like memorizing a new piece or ear training, like figuring out something off a record, if I'm just doing muscle memory running scales, I'm watching GematriaEffectNews. Right? So I've seen not all your videos, but I've seen thousands. I've been through all your channels. You've been on my show no less than 25 times on Music Without Boundaries.
Yeah, many shows.
The stuff that you and I have seen over this duration, just with musicians that are, to me, this is what it feels like. Kind of, I used to say when you'd come on the show, it feels more like a celebrity evacuation. Like they're going to somewhere else. Like they're going to Kazakhstan or Israel or the Mystery Island with Bruce Lee in the beer commercial, right? And Marilyn Monroe and Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads and Bonham and all the rest. Like, remember how many people when you were coming on, I remember Natalie Cole, Glenn Frey. It's just the anniversary, like yesterday. Was yesterday the anniversary of Glenn Frey from the Eagles?
I got to go back and double check, but it was just before the Super Bowl.
Bowie.
Yeah.
I can't even remember Prince, of course. You know, we called his death live on my show. You said Prince better watch his back. And was it 67 days later he was gone?
From Vanity, yeah, span of 67. Same age Neil Peart died.
On the screen from Neil Peart.
Well, look at this. You just asked me about Glenn Frey and Neil Peart. Yeah, again, Vanity died. It spanned 67 days from Prince. Peart dies at age 67. Glenn Frey dies 67 days after the Eagles of death metal tragedy. And again, Glenn Frey played for the Eagles. But that number, and Glenn Frey died at age 67 as well. But again, 38, 67, those numbers are around tragic death so often because death is 38, blood sacrifice is 67. In the case of Glenn Frey, or excuse me, in the case of Neil Peart, he died on the 163rd day of Geddy Lee's age, which is the 38th prime number. But yeah, same stuff over and over. So.
You know, my birthday's 3/31, 1962. So I got the number. Like they would probably fake a birthday to get that birthday. Like they would wish they would have, right? They like all those threes and 313.
What's your birthday again? March of what? 62?
March 31st, 1962.
The last day of March.
Same day, oddly enough, as Angus Young from AC/DC.
Huh?
Isn't that weird? Two Youngs in rock and roll, and same day as Bach.
Okay.
Johann Sebastian Bach was born March 31st, as was Shirley Jones, who played Mama Partridge on the Partridge Family. All March 31st Aries. Right?
Okay.
So I'm planning to celebrate my birthday this year, turn another year. So Truth Seekers, come out. Have my back at these shows. And we actually spread the word. Look at those tour dates. And if you know anyone, music aficionados, people who did good guitar playing in your neck of the woods, let them know they better get the tickets while they're hot.
Indeed.
It's a great show. Plus, we got some surprises in the encore, in addition to doing the two albums in their entirety. Some surprises during the encore. But hey, we didn't get to the Music Without Boundaries on Facebook because we were trying to go into the Prince photo album. So people, you can go back and hear, even though YouTube yanked, and that's the thing. I've been here. I've seen Zach call so many futures. And I tell my friends, I go, Nostradamus ain't got nothing on this kid. Yeah, I'm what, twice your age, Zach? But see, the thing is, I'm smart enough to know when to listen to someone regardless of how old they are, you know, the color of their skin. And when I found Zach's stuff early on, hold on, there it is. There you go. This is, in this photo album, this is just one of the things that Zach and I think this is our proudest thing, right? Because I was literally, again, as I explained earlier, we didn't know each other that well. I didn't even have his phone number. I found him in a YouTube video on the sidebar when you could still find cool stuff when you were watching a video and it was suggested. And, you know, the way I teach music, and I've done workshops on this channel about sacred geometry, and that everything is about geometry and music and language and life and building and the Fibonacci sequence, you know, it's all geometry and math.
Indeed.
His work resonated with me. He started coming on my show. I think the first thing we did, and it's probably still up, was like a Gematria 101. Kind of remember when you used to have that up on your first channel, like a how-to, like a very basic thing? That was like the first video on your channel that you could
Yeah.
See if you wanted to kind of learn the ABCs of Gematria. So we did a couple shows like that, but we didn't know each other that well. And then the 2016 Grammys came and Vanity. And it just so happens that, you know, when I was 18, I was dating a girl like 16 years older than me. And she was the manager at the big record store in Dayton. Right? And so I'd get to go in there late at night and she just let me I'd walk out of there with 20, 30 albums in my hand on any given night. So I had all the newest albums, right? And she loved Prince. So she brought that first Prince album home. I mean, to be honest, I was a little jealous of them because she was, you know, all the girls were hot on Prince. You know, but I found out he was playing every instrument on that album. And then I heard the songs and the cat was just phenomenal. So I was a Prince fan from the beginning, you know, and of course, if you're a Prince fan, you're aware of all the offshoots and his female proteges that he worked with from, you know, Apollonia, and actually Vanity was supposed to be in Purple Rain. And I don't know if they broke up and he ended up getting Apollonia to be in that movie. But he also wrote a lot of, you know, in that time when Sheena Easton had those hits with Sugar Walls and some of those more sexy hits, he wrote that stuff. You know, most people knows he wrote the Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You. So, you know, as a musician, all of us, and he's a great, he's probably not dead, a great guitar player. So, you know, all guitar players know about Prince. So when I wrote Zach, I just wrote him a paragraph and I was very formal because we didn't know each other that well. And I'm like, was being very polite and kind of shy about it. It's like, hey, you know, Vanity died today. It's the 2016 Grammys. And with all the other deaths we've been talking about on my show, like really, it wasn't at every show you came on. You know, it was not like we could talk. It was every show I was doing, like some memorial show, playing the best of this dead artist. And Zach was coming on, decoding the thing. So I wrote him and I said, I know she's not that popular, but she was, you know, associated with Prince. And I'm a big fan. If you could do a decode for me, that'd be super cool. And like I said, I thought he'd send me back a quick paragraph and I'd just have it for myself and be, cool. But he ended up doing the YouTube video and I'm practicing. I turn on GematriaEffectNews and there he is doing it. And he's saying, Prince better watch his back. And then instantly I write him back on email and you got to come on my show. And he was on the next show. And right in that photo album he's got up on the screen, I got the link to that show, I think in every picture that you click on through there, because I didn't want you to miss the show. It's definitely right there on the side. You see the link. And it's there. And that's something no one could deny, that he's on my show. We're playing Prince music. We're talking about whatever. There it is. And he tells Prince he better watch his back. You can see the date of the show. There's the date, and you can count how many days later Prince was dead, right? So, but in that album, we ended up in the heels of the show uncovering all kinds of other stuff, like, you know, by looking at, you know, where Vanity was born. And literally, that's all I did. I Googled, because we were tripping out. Why'd they turn Niagara Falls purple? It's right there, the second screen with her face. There's a second slide. I literally Googled, it's right there. That's what I found that day. I Googled, where was Denise? It's down where you see Niagara Falls, down at the bottom. I Googled that screen, where was Denise Matthews born? And that came up. I think it's the screen before that, the one right before that. And it was Niagara Falls, and Zach and I went, holy shit. And that's when we knew instantly, it's that one. That's exactly, that screen is how we learned that information. No one else told us that. And if anyone else has figured that out, they probably figured it out by listening to Music Without Boundaries. So all the stuff we covered, then he has a song called 319. Just like click through that album, we'll talk about each slide. So that's where Denise Matthews was born. And then Zach and my friendship after this point, because we'd uncovered something huge together here. So, I mean, from this point, he was coming on my show every week. Just go through that. Here's the stuff we uncovered. Click on the one about Denise Matthews. Click up to the top, Zach. Go up to the very top.
But
Just start with the one on the very left with Prince, I Would Die For You.
Okay.
And just go to and just click to the right.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And then we'll take people through our detective work and what we uncovered. So Zach talks about this all the time, and there's the graphic illustration. There's the details of her birthday. So this is when Zach and I go to the next slide with Vanity. So this is how we discovered. I searched when was she born, and then if you look at Prince's mother, right, the next one.
Born on the day.
If you click the next one, I got Prince's mom's right there, her Wikipedia.
Died on the same day.
There's she. Now the next one will be Prince's mom.
Yeah.
Was it 11 years apart?
Yeah.
And then click next.
Oh, no. 14 years apart. 14 years apart, right? 14 years apart. And the word dead is 14.
Okay, 14 years apart. Click the next one is her dad and Aaliyah. Same day, same year.
Yeah.
Click the next screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her dad as Prince's dad. And click the next one. Is Aaliyah. Remember, and she died in that mysterious video shoot accident, plane accident.
Rock the boat.
And there, so Prince had this song 319.
Yeah.
319.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of his bigger hits, but he had that song. And again, that's something that if you're not a hardcore Prince fan, that would elude you. This screen right here. But that's huge, right?
The shirt with the moon is interesting because moon has that gematria 57, and the mathematics of the moon also involves the number 57. So I've never really looked at that aspect. Prince's death in relation to the moon. I might want to go back and look from that angle too.
Click on next screen. It's like when we're doing a film in class, a slideshow.
Sure. 47 days before the 58th birthday, big Masonic numbers.
Okay.
67 never stops. So, yeah.
So right there, it was 67 days from the day I asked Zach to do the decode on Vanity. He came on my show like within a day or two after that. And then 67 days later, Prince died. After we said, watch your back, Prince, on my radio show.
Yeah.
So it's there. You guys can go back and hear it. Any of the doubters. But that's what, so from there, our friendship has blossomed. I obviously have Zach's phone number now. We've still never met. I'm waiting for you to come to LA.
I do need to come down to LA. I might still just do it. Sweet Lady's mom is doing a little bit better. She nearly passed away not long ago, and she's starting to recover. So
the weather blows here. That's the other thing.
Well, that's the reason I might.
New Year's Eve. I mean, they've been drowning LA. I mean, we watched all the New Year's celebrations on TV, like from the goofy Ryan Seacrest in Times Square to the local stuff. And they were just mocking the public. They would show like the stage of an event, like a big event that was supposed to happen. And it's just totally rained out here in LA. And there's like 4 or 5 goofy people in front of the stage dancing to the music. And it looks so pathetic.
Huh.
And I feel like for the new year, they just want everyone gloomy and dark and in their house and not going out. They haven't let us have a day of sunshine. I think today it cleared up like kind of mid-morning today.
It looks like it might be getting better. I'm checking out the 10-day forecast. If it stays true, it's actually supposed to be sunny that day. So we'll see.
Praise the weather gods. What they say on the Bruce Willis celebrity roast on Comedy Central CC33 Comedy Channel?
Oh yeah. If
it was any more Jewish, you'd control the weather.
That was the joke at the Bruce Willis roast. Yep.
That's funny, isn't it?
Hilarious. It's like, what's that even mean?
Like the common man, like mom and pop. Like imagine like the cast of Roseanne. Like that's like your, in any town USA watching that on TV, watching Comedy Central, and they're like, that's so funny. Louise, wasn't that funny when he said that thing about if it was any more Jewish, he'd control the weather? That's funny to no one but them. It's like the inside joke that they drop, and everyone in the audience is like, "Huh?"
Right. Yeah. For people who don't know what Jeff's talking about, again, Comedy Central roast celebrities. Watch the roast of Bruce Willis. You'll see how they say that. They say, if you were any more Jewish, you'd control the weather. So
they wouldn't do that. They're looking out for our best interests.
Indeed. Yeah.
So folks, the stuff I've seen, because I've been here since then, almost every day, thousands of videos through GematriaEffectNews 1, and now I'm on 25 right along with y'all. And there's definitely something askew. And then as I enter this new thing, because I didn't think, I wanted to have some kind of cool bookend thing on my career, on my music career. I did the Megadeth thing in my 20s. I did this Brazilian thing and lived in Brazil in my 30s. And I wanted one cool thing, to cap it off. And then I can just do cool blues music and play. What I'm going to do when the grid goes down is play dobro guitar, because the dobro guitar don't need no amp. It's got a built-in speaker inside the guitar, and it's loud as shit. So I got a dobro guitar sitting on the couch right across from me. That's what I'm going to do when the grid goes down. But I didn't expect that this was going to happen, and it happened by accident. We were, actually it came out of that documentary. There's a documentary coming out about Nick Menza's life, who we were just talking about, who had the heart attack on stage at the Baked Potato and died DOA. Right? He was the third drummer in Megadeth, right?
Yeah.
So they invited me to film, because Nick became my roommate. I couldn't stand the room with any. Two of the guys, David Elson, who I'm playing with, I would room with him, but he was kind of running mates with Mustaine, so they wanted to room together a lot. So I ended up rooming with a drum tech to get away from them and the vibe of the drugs and the drinking and smoking. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink coffee. I never have. I don't take aspirin. So being around this kind of environment, you can imagine, was not easy or cool for me. So I ended up rooming with Nick, and I got to know him really well, and he was awake. But he believed in UFOs, but he was awake to other stuff. So he was somewhat awake, and at least he was on the path. And I had him on my radio show. So we ended up doing a documentary. It's going to come out on David Elson's film company. And I got invited to just go in and talk about him. And I ended up reconnected with David Elson, who's the original bassist, after, we hadn't seen each other in decades, or talked to each other. So it was quite by accident, and just due to the fact that I have a photographic memory, and he and I were writing a couple songs for what became their next album. I ended up leaving, so I didn't play on it. And I did lose the tapes, so luckily I had all those tapes I got when I first joined the band, so I could figure out all the stuff, all the Megadeth tunes here to do this tour. But these original songs we wrote together, David and I had lost, but luckily, because of my memory, there were two riffs to one song that were so memorable that I could still sing them in my head 30 years later. They're just they were right there. So we're actually eating at the Rainbow, which is funny if you've ever seen the movie American Satan.
Uh-huh.
Where we were sitting at the same booth in the back where they make the deal with Malcolm McDowell to be their manager, and then they later sacrifice one of their buddies in the parking lot for fame.
Right.
Have you seen this movie, Zach?
I have, indeed.
Yeah, so so literally at that same booth, we were paying the bill, and I went in Elson's ear and I said, "Hey, remember this riff?" And I started singing it to him in his ear. He's like, "Hell yeah, I remember that, man. We got to get in your room and work that shit up." So this all actually started, we were writing we have 4 songs, original songs we were demoing for what hopefully will become a EP or full-length album. And so we didn't even intend to do this tour or release live at the Whiskey, and I don't know about the release date. We're releasing it March 24th. What's that about? But we played a gig we played at the Whiskey. They have a thing out here every 2 weeks called the Ultimate Jam. Actually, it's happening tonight. If you're in LA, they're doing, what's the theme tonight? Oh, it's the 70s. So it's going to be all 70s music. They're doing a tribute to Jeff Beck. So I did like the Eddie Van Halen one, Randy Rhoads, Ladies of the 80s. I did a few of these. And they actually did, I thought it was funny. I went to it, I didn't play it, but they did one for Ukraine, which I had to laugh at because everyone's there, you know, totally sucked into the psyop, you know, wearing the colors. They brought out some blind girl to play the national anthem of Ukraine. Sure. And I was just gagging. I couldn't even believe it. But the funny thing that happened that night is one of the bands came out and did a System of a Down song, and a mosh pit broke out.
Okay.
And I don't know when the last time the Whiskey saw a mosh pit, but the next Ultimate Jam theme became the Big Four. So I guess, which was, you know, that's Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, and Slayer. So I guess they liked that mosh pit because that became the next Ultimate Jam, and then they invited me to play it. Elson flew out and we played it. The songs it's on my YouTube channel. We did 3 songs unrehearsed. They put us together with this singer, the gal who she does this. There's like, it can be 120 artists on the stage throughout the night, you know, and because it's like a different drummer, different singers, bass players coming on and off the stage. It's, you know, and some of them are superstars and some of them are like just the best unknown people in LA. And they matched us up with this guy from a Megadeth tribute named Chaz Leon. And he also plays in a Soundgarden tribute because he looks kind of like Chris Cornell and he can sing kind of like Chris, right?
Sure.
And he kills Mustaine. Like everyone who hears this is like, he's better than Mustaine. Because he has a little bit of that Chris Cornell when he does Mustaine. And the reviews of our shows that we saw reviews where the critics said, you know, that Chaz really makes this thing happen because Mustaine's voice is very unique and it's like a character. And if you don't got someone who can do that properly, you don't got, you know, the goods to go do what we're doing. And they said he doesn't come off like an impersonator and he doesn't come off comical. He comes off legit, and he does. He's a killer. And he's a young guy, and you know, like I said, he's smart and a lawyer and good-looking guy. All the gals are going to like him. And he's got that likability like Dimebag Darrell from Pantera had, where like all the metal dudes loved him. You know, Chaz has got that vibe. And we didn't even rehearse that night. There's the 3 songs right there. You see Peace Sells But Who's Buying, Mary Jane. That's actually my gal singing Mary Jane. That's about a witch, that song. So we let her sing that, and she kills that. She plays in an all-female AC/DC tribute group called Thunderstruck, and they kill it, man. They open like for Cheap Trick and Grand Funk and Don Felder from the Eagles at this one festival I went to with her, and they blew them all off the stage. It was crazy. And then the other one, In My Darkest Hour. So those 3 were unrehearsed. Like we just met each other that night and went up and did it. And from those 3 videos got picked up all over the internet with all the music magazines and websites. And then the management said, you guys got to do this. And that's when Kings of Thrash was born. So, and then they came up with the idea, okay, you guys are going to go out, you're going to do Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good, and So Far So Good, So What, in their entirety. And that's a bitch, dude, because like Killing Is My Business is, you know, it's like Megadeth can't play those songs anymore because he couldn't play those or sing them. They're very hard.
Complicated.
A lot of notes flying by really fast.
Sure.
So that's how this whole thing was born. So it was really organic, and it's like not manufactured at all. You know, so even our live DVD, like if people know the history of a lot of the live albums that have been released, they're not really live. They'll go in the studio and redo all the vocals or recut this or that. And what we're putting out, it's the real, you know, it's the real show.
Sure.
And it was only our fourth show. So that's kind of, I don't know any other band that's come out, done 4 shows, recorded it and released it. I mean, with no time to like mature and, you know, tour and hey, we just came and we just did it.
Sure. Two great vets and 2 young talents.
Amount of balls to do that.
Right. Right. Jeff, if I don't ask it, everybody else could ask. Why did you do the 33-second lead guitar solo on your YouTube channel? You posted about a year ago.
To mock, of course.
Sure, yeah.
Fucking hilarious. So of course I'm mocking it.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Jeff on his Facebook page has some really great albums showing all the 33s that they put out there in media.
Yeah, you got to go to my other go-to. I changed the name, but I'm going to go back to Music Without Boundaries because that brand, so I've been doing that 11 years. Just search on YouTube, Music Lives Live web show. No, I'll tell you guys what I did. No, that's totally mocking them. And I thought my friends my friends here in the Gematria community would enjoy. That's on my TikTok too. I put that. It got a lot of views on TikTok.
I'm having trouble finding the Music Lives Live web show. That's on your Facebook?
Music lives live. No, it's on YouTube, dude.
Oh, on YouTube. Okay, my fault. I see.
I'm sure we're going to show more of the 33 in your face videos are. So go to Music Lives Live web show. Come on.
There, I got it. Okay.
There it is. Of course you see. No, go to videos. So I'll show you if you guys want to see my my babe killing it. The 2 most recent videos. That's Thunderstruck. See that crowd in the second one? That's the day they opened for Cheap Trick and Grand Funk and Don Felder from the Eagles at this festival called Moon Dance. I think it's in Minnesota or somewhere. But so here we go. Go scroll down. We'll start with the first one. Just scroll down on that page, and we'll show them from part 1 through part 3. The 33 series. It's a series. For me, this should be some kind of award-winning series.
Sure.
For me, but that's just me. So this first one, part 1, 33. What that was? How many years ago did I post that, Jack?
It says 5 years ago now.
How many? It
says 5.
How many years ago?
5. A lot.
5. All right, check it out. So what that is I started collecting every time I saw 33 in the headlines anywhere in the world. I just threw it in a photo album on my desktop. And then at the end of the year, I made that video, and it's got music, and it's just a slideshow. It's actually your buddy's music. Get the word out, remember? What's your buddy's name that lives near you, the bass player dude? And as you see, I mean, it's just, and the point of these videos is pattern recognition. You start seeing, and some of them are just so crazy and ludicrous. Like, look at that. I mean, the things that you're going to see throughout these videos are just nuts. So that's part 1, right?
Sure.
Go back to the screen and we'll show them part 2. There's OJ's as part of his license plate. I mean, so it's just a screenshot of a year's worth now right there on the same line. 33 part 2. All right. So that was another year. I collected for another year from the time I put up part 1. And then I posted this. We live in 100% scripted reality. Welcome to the Matrix. And funny thing is, I was an extra in that movie, Naked Gun 33 and the 3rd. I play a prison convict. So this is a whole bunch more 33s in the headlines and a bunch of 33s that weren't in part 1. Okay. You guys should be sharing these 3 parts everywhere because, again, now you got 2 years worth of pattern recognition and evidence mounting. The evidence is mounting now. The last video, and I look at the screen cap of that I used, that guy, what's he say? Something about suck his dick or something. That part 3, 33 in your face part 3, I only collected for a few months after the COVID thing.
Sure.
That's all just like COVID in a few months. And I had enough to already make another.
Yeah.
So those 3 parts are, and they're right next to its Cheap Trick, killing on one of the great classic song Bound at that same festival where my babe played.
Very cool.
So you may enjoy some of the music videos and different content on that. That'll be soon retitled back to Music Without Boundaries radio show. But I'm going to start doing interviews on there as well because people like to see. And as I'm more back in the scene and seeing more people face to face, so I can start doing some YouTube interviews and stuff. So that's why I changed the title. I like that title, right? Music Lives Live.
Yeah, it's good.
But what's the gematria on that shit?
I didn't do it.
Think about that. What's the gematria on Music Without Boundaries?
I've never decoded them.
I encourage you guys, and you see they got a lot of plays, man, between the 3 of them.
Uh-huh.
So they kind of went for my channel a little mini viral. You know, I haven't promoted them. You know,
Music Lives Live has the same 63 as Megadeth. Funny enough.
I thought of that title just because, like, so many people are saying rock is dead and music is dead. People don't. You pull it next to a car, pumping out that hip hop bullshit, that noise and just nothing but, you know, just a loop and a monotone vocal and a monotone melody. You'd think music was dead, but the intent of that title is like, there's still some good artists and some good music being made out there. You just got to fish for it. You got to search for it.
Truly.
And not all of us are in the Illuminati. And dude, I'm so funny that you were reading the lyrics to that Madonna tune, because I've been playing that on my show.
That's how I know about that song. I know about that song from your show.
I played it when you were on my show.
Yeah, that's how I found out about it.
I started playing it. And people, you want to trip out, Google iTunes for the song title. Like if you're going on iTunes to buy some song, just Google the song title Gematria. Because in those 33 videos that I made, some of the songs are called Gematria.
Huh.
And there's not just Gematria, the killing name. There's classical pieces. There's instrumental pieces. There's one where the guy's saying something about Scottie Pippen, 33 Scottie Pippen.
Huh.
It's in one of my videos. You'll hear it.
Huh.
Where he just keeps saying that. 33 Scottie Pippen. And was that his number?
Yeah, and then his son ended up dying at age 33 in the time of Taurus.
He starts chanting all that shit.
Huh.
It's in one of those 33 videos. But no, just search on iTunes, people, for the song title Gematria. And it's going to blow you away. You're going to see how many people are aware of that word. You know, composers that you've never heard of. And then you start listening to the tunes. And again, a lot of it's instrumental. And you're like, wow, this is a trip.
Huh.
I want to work some Gematria lyrics into Kings of Thrash, and I'm working on it, man.
Cool. Yeah, you guys said you're writing your own songs.
Got a line, our new song is called Bridges Burned, our first original.
Uh-huh.
I got the first line. It took me forever because it's like the first line that you say that our singer's going to be saying to the world. It's a big thing. You got to really make it a good first line. I finally came up with it. Are you ready? I think Zach's going to approve. I think if it's Zachary Hubbard approved, then I know we're on a good track with the song. The first line is going to be once upon a time in the land of the blind.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
And the song's just going to go from there, people. So
okay, that's cool.
Stay tuned for our first original.
You're writing the lyrics then, huh?
Burned.
You're writing the lyrics. That's cool.
What's the gematria on that? I got to do on our song title, Bridges Burned.
Bridges Burned. Let's see. It's funny. I don't normally like to look at the gematria things I do, but hold on. Let's see. Well, it's got the gematria. Well, you know, it's fitting. It's got the 223 in it, and I imagine that song will come out in 2023. It's also got the 65 like music. So,
you know, we've already tracked the drums in my first guitar parts and scratch bass guitar, so we're on the road, man. And we're doing it all the 2-inch tape, like old school, because that's another thing. I think digital has corrupted everyone's spirit.
Sure.
We're analog. This is a huge thing, people, and we could talk about this more on the show, and we should reiterate this. Everyone, especially musicians, I hope will resonate with this. We're analog creatures, right? Am I wrong?
Right. No.
We're made from carbon. We're analog creatures, and we're not made to input digital information. We're not made to tolerate these frequencies of all these cell towers, of even holding a cell phone in our hand or up. I would never put a cell phone up to my head if you paid me.
I always keep mine on speaker.
I'm on speaker now, so it would sound a lot better if I took it off speaker, but I'm not gonna, hopefully it sounds good enough, but.
It does. It does.
We're analog creatures, and all this digital information you look at the TV screens now, man. You don't need to see someone's pores that big and every wrinkle in the
sure.
In the but all the music recorded on digital. I think that's why people don't connect with music in the same way they did back in the analog days, the way we used to record and how we're still recording. And it costs just to get the analog tape is just under $400 for one roll. You can probably get 3 or 4 songs on that roll, or if you got to do 2 or 3 takes of a song, then you just blew one tape. And you got to find a studio that has this machine and that can maintain this machine, because they're huge and they're expensive. When you're putting digital information and listening to digital music, it doesn't sound the same. To me, it sounds it's like that feeling in a hospital when everything's sterilized.
Sure.
It's not like, when I think of music, I think of like blues and like Johnny Winter, or gypsy, like flamenco players. And this is like raw, and it's dirty, and it's organic, and it comes from the earth, right? It doesn't come from a computer. Right?
Sure.
And I think that they're using music and TV. This is how they use it as a weapon. You can see it. Listen to there would never be a band like Marilyn Manson or even 9 Inch Nails back in the 70s. It's just so dark. It's so down. They tune the instruments down really low. And, and the singer's singing lower, and it's not a happy, it's not a happy feeling when you listen. Like even Soundgarden's pretty dark, and the whole Seattle grunge scene came out of that, the weather that they're keeping LA in right now. Truly,
yeah.
And what does that weather cause? Remember, I was thinking of moving up there and living with you, right? When I was going through that financial shit.
Sure.
And you were like, man, you don't want to live in this weather. Like, people kill themselves in this weather. People get on heroin in this weather. And it's true. That's what they're doing with the weather here in LA and probably where you live, because they want you in your house bummed out, in a bad mood, and arguing with your spouse.
Indeed.
So, and listen to some bad music. Or some weird fucking soundtrack behind some horror movie you're watching on Netflix, right? So you gotta really think, his music, like Bob Marley and his lyrics, there was so much truth and poetry, and the frequency of his music, why people resonate with it, is because there was a positivity in it. And whether he was, owned or bought and paid for, and whether he knew it or not, you can feel the difference in like music when you listen. And it's sad what they did. They turned him into like a comedy, like a brand, like about pot.
Sure, Touchgone.
Like that reggae beat, and like dancing and smoking pot, and like the characters who imitate reggae, like on Saturday Night Live, it's always goofy, right? And it was a beautiful thing, and it was very positive. And I'm a huge fan. I went to not only his house in Kingston, Jamaica, but I went 4 hours in the jungle where he was born. And if you don't believe in destiny, you go to where Bob Marley was born, They don't even have running water. This was in 2000. I went there to collect water. He was born in a jungle to rise and become, you know, the most played artist on the planet. I mean, when you travel the planet, you hear Bob Marley everywhere, more than the Beatles, more than Elvis. I mean, if you're in a Bahamas or Jamaica, you're not hearing the Beatles, you're hearing Bob Marley. If you're in some vacation retreat, you're hearing Bob Marley, not Elvis, right?
Right.
They had to collect water. It was so primitive, they literally would get drop cloths and lay them out on the side of a hill with like concrete blocks and used like, you know, plywood to make like a funnel on the hill. And they'd put a base at the bottom to collect water. I mean, that's how primitive where this kid, you know, was dropped out in the jungle of Jamaica, and then to come out and do what he did. It's, you know, it's pretty miraculous.
Truly.
Then on the other end of the spectrum, this era gives you American Idol and The Voice and America's Got Talent, you know? So you see the downward spiral, or what the decline of Western civilization, right? Parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've lived them all, right? So really think about the music that you're listening to. And, you know, I had a guest come on my show, and he dropped all the thing we know, Clinton administration, that whole era, and probably before it was even crafted, the whole hip hop industry and rap industry was started to fill up the prisons.
Sure.
And corrupt I mean, it's like the people can't figure that out.
It was dominoes.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out, man. You're pumping this low vibration music into a community that's uneducated, where the lyrics are pumping up ego, drug use, alcohol abuse, hitting your hoe and smacking your bitch around and all this other shit. What do you think's going to happen?
Right. Drug war, crack cocaine, and then music to glorify it.
Yeah. The music industry has always been a psychological operation. And the horror, like when I was in Megadeth, I had no clue. For decades after, I had no clue. During the Brazilian project, I had no clue. You know, we were just two, you know, this Brazilian gal and me touring around by ourselves. So, you know, we were pretty low on the radar, even though we were on a major label. I didn't wake up till many years later when I was in Vegas, right? And so now to realize I'm swimming in this sea, this is the industry that I have to do business in.
Right. Yeah.
You know, how do you circumvent that? How do you navigate that and keep your nose clean?
Well, I guess you found a way.
We'll see. I hope Zach won't be doing a video about me, man. That'd be a drag, wouldn't it, buddy?
I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, just be careful who gives you the drinks and the beverages. So
no, but you even have to have this. And the cool thing is that my drummer watches your channel now, and he's, you know, awake to all this. So, and I'm going to, of course, have him watch this video. So me and him are going to be so careful on this tour.
Yeah, he's got the most faithful position.
Back, man.
Yeah, you got 3 drummers already this year: Bachman Turner, Overdrive, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Modest Mouse. All dead in 38 rituals. And that's what we've been talking about the whole time with drummers. They're always dying in this 38 ritual. So too many coincidences.
Mm-hmm. And then you go back over Megadeth's lyrics, which we've read a couple of them on the show, and I've called them before, man. There's so much, I don't know, it's futures, right? It's the futures are in these lyrics. I don't know if it's predictive programming. He was too fucked up when I was in the band to be, I don't think he was in the club then, but I think after I left and MTV was getting around, he was all of a sudden a political commentator in DC on MTV.
Huh. That's interesting.
Within like a year, like from when I went on the band, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing him on MTV, you know, doing the music their coverage during the elections. I was like, And then later, as I found out he's buddies with Alex Jones, you know.
Yeah.
And we've got pictures of him Freemason hand signing, you know, right next to Trump, Freemason hand signing, next to some sports douchebag, Freemason hand signing. It's just showing, you know, what's the similarity here. Like they would show kids like that. It's sad we have to educate people in that infantile of a way. That's what you'd do to like a first grader. You'd show them like these three guys. Now, what are all these three guys doing that they have in common? Oh, their hands pointing in that weird upside down pyramid.
Right.
Between the crotch. Oh, what's that about?
Truly.
So, and I've always talked about when I came on the show, I've had other opportunities and doors would shut, and I always wondered, now that I woke up in people, like you'd get so far and then people would look at you weird and like not be friendly to you.
Sure.
And I'm like, I'm a nice guy. I'm cool. Like, why am I feeling like outsided? You know? And now I'm realizing maybe that's why, because I didn't shake their hand the right way.
Sure.
I even thought, dude, this is so funny. I thought to go learn the handshakes so I can just do it to fake people out, right? So they don't like, it's like a reverse prejudice, dude. They're judging me because I'm not in.
You're not on the level. You're not in the club. So, yeah. Jeff, you got somebody in the chat. At least one person said they're coming out.
The thing I can do is try to be stealthy.
You got at least one truth sticker coming out in Madison. So
cool. Yeah, dudes, people, look at those kingsofthrash.com. Look at those dates. You can pre-order right there. We got all the links for every city right on the website.
Yes.
You'll have the time of your life.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of great licks, and our band has good energy between the four of us right now. So we can keep that going. And
again, if you guys want to get a little preview for the show, you know, Jeff's got some music up on his page. Jeff Young Tube, at Jeff Young Tube is the YouTube page. And of course, he's got the Kings of Thrash YouTube page. And again, it will be a great show. So I do hope the Truth Seekers, if you're in the towns that they're coming through, I hope you guys do come out and support them. And there were some people in the chat that said they went out to your shows earlier. It sounds like maybe only one person approached you, though. So, again, Jeff.
There might have been others, and it depends what show. Like, I was really pissed after the whiskey show because you'd think the whiskey would have, like, the crack crew, the cracked sound people.
Sure.
We'd had our own front of house guy. We have our own front of house sound man. But the monitor dude, we called him the gay caballero, this guy. And I thought he was cool at first because he was really effeminate, and like he was some kind of foreigner and dressed in a weird attire, like almost like a bow tie. And I'm like, what is this dude wearing at the whiskey, man? This is like where the Doors and Van Halen and all these bands have played. But he looked really helpful. But during the show, man, we were getting all this monitor feedback, and my guitar tech 2 nights in a row forgot to put one of my guitar straps on one of my main guitars for the whole second half of the show. And I looked down, there's no fucking guitar strap on my guitar. Literally the first thing I said at the end of the show is, what the hell, did Mustaine pay you off or what, motherfucker?
Sure.
What? I was not in a good mood. Like DJ, what's his name?
DK Stonewood came out with the Pearl Jam joke.
Huh?
Did he come out and ask you if it was a Pearl Jam cover band or something?
He came out and he came up to the stage after, and I said, dude, he like tried to get my job. I said, dude, don't even. Like, I was so pissed I didn't even talk to him. He's come out. He came out. He's cool. He came out to that show, and he also came out when my gal and I played at the Hard Rock Live on Hollywood Boulevard in Highland. The Hollywood Live there. Funny thing is, the head program director from Sirius Radio was in the audience because his wife is a girlfriend of my gal's. And they were like front row, and DJ met him, and I go to the bathroom, and he starts asking the program director for Sirius if he knows what Sirius means. What's that mean, and why they call their station Sirius? And then he starts educating this guy. And I come back, and he's talking to the head program director from Sirius, telling him like all this stuff. I was like, oh my God, dude. I loved it then. It was great.
That's a good story.
But I can tell you, the dude had no idea about what Sirius meant. He's just a New York radio legend, and lucky probably he got that job at Sirius.
Sure.
And that's the thing. Some of these people, I mean, you got to wonder who's awake and who's not. But for sure, the people that you see on the American Music Awards and any, the Grammys, these people are, anyone that are getting those kind of numbers, the Miley Cyrus, right?
Right.
Yeah, Marley Cyrus, and that's Justin Bieber's little test tube twin there. Look at their faces side by side. She posted it on her Twitter, people. You can probably just Google Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus side by side image of their face. They're DNA twins, dude, from different parents, and they flipped them in utero. That's why Miley Cyrus's voice is so low. And Justin Bieber's a little pussy.
Oh yeah,
man! Pull that up, Zach.
I just found it. Right up. I'm about to put it up there.
Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber split image or something. I guarantee, because she posted it on her Twitter. Said that she posted this picture of them half and half. Said, "When will people see me for who I really am?" Was her tweet. There it is. Look.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Look at that, people. And then when you don't see them together, you don't realize the shit, because the puzzle pieces. When you got a 9-to-5 job, you're caught up in your fake sports and fighting with your wife and your bratty kids, you don't got time like Zach and me to figure this shit out.
All right.
And you don't see Miley Cyrus and Justin Bieber's face side by side. What do you think if you and your wife in any town USA couldn't have a baby, and you went and wanted to have a test tube baby, wanted to have your wife artificially inseminated, you could do that, and you could pick the characteristics that your child has. What are the characteristics that Hollywood people want? They want that Baphomet, tits and a dick, ephemeral, the ephemeral, right? Half male, half female, right? Mm-hmm. So they can do that now in a lab, people. These younger stars coming up, that's why there's so many of them that look like the other star. What Keira Knightley and that the other gal looked identical, that actress. It's a split twin for her. There's, look at these two. Doesn't that blow your mind? Look at them side by side.
That is crazy. Yeah, I'd never seen that before.
It's a mind blower.
Yeah.
This is how they do it, man. And you can change a baby's sexuality in utero. If it was supposed to be a boy, you can flip the script. And you can easily see and hear. That's why Miley's out on stage with your young daughter that you paid $200-$300 for a ticket, and she comes out with a giant fucking dildo on.
Right.
You're getting parent of the year for taking your kid to see that shit.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then you take your kid. The horror, I was realizing this as my ex-wife was taking my kids to see Justin Bieber and spending that kind of money on those tickets to see that chick.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. I always think of this one too with her.
Look at her body.
I always think of this one. So.
I sent you that one of Zach's mind blew. I sent him that one of look at that. I sent Zach that picture of Obama and Michael when they were in college. Before Michael transgendered or whatever they.
Somebody said that one's a Photoshop. Somebody said that one of. Someone said that's a Photoshop. I don't know if it really is, but.
Give me a fucking break. There's a bunch of people and he didn't ever call him Michael like 20 times.
Exactly. That's the one thing I said. Like, well, he didn't.
Dude, if you see Michelle Obama next to any of the other dudes in Washington, she towers over all those dudes. She's fucking huge, that bitch.
Yeah.
That dude. That's a large person.
Yeah.
And you don't see him in person, so you have no context. That's what Hollywood's all about, is tricking you with lights and camera and the magic. And people, why did they invent makeup back in the day? So the trannies in the opera who played the female parts in the opera could look more like women, right?
Indeed.
And Edison started Hollywood out on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
And all these creepy fuckers, he wasn't digging what they were trying to put in the movies. He wasn't letting that go down. So they bailed out to the West Coast and started Hollywood.
Yeah. Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
Look into your history, people. Look into the history of Hollywood. It's only there. Hollywood and movies and television are there for very simple reasons. One, to lie to you about what they've done to you historically, to lie to you about history and twist it. I give you Exhibit A, Schindler's List, Titanic. All right. They lie to you about history, or they'll put predictive programming in the movie to tell you what they're about to do to you, how they're going to fuck you next. That's what it's there for, and to mind control you, right?
Truly.
And again, people, like when we were talking at the very beginning about breaking words down, that people still to this day don't understand what the word government means. And every day they use it, every day they hear it on CNN and MSNBC and all these shit channels, and they don't stop to think that that word means to govern your mind,
right?
To mind fuck you. So if you would start just using the word mind fuck instead of every time you would use the word government or politics, mind fuckery, then you could retrain yourself to realize the world you're living in.
Indeed. Indeed. Jeff, I got to wrap it up right there. I do got to get off because I have to be somewhere.
Comes home and that's the good news. Maybe they'd hesitate on me because my gal, her day job is, she does the Thunderstruck things or Weekend Warrior gig. She's a scientist. I think she's got like a degree in molecular biology and all these other crazy things. Her day job, she's LAPD, which is Los Angeles Police Department, CSI. She does ballistics. She's always loved guns from a young age, and so you think she's like Dexter, but with bullets, if you want to think of it that way. So that's her day job, and maybe that would cause these fuckers to hesitate on taking me out if they know my gal probably wouldn't give up till she found out what happened to me.
Right. Indeed. I think you'll be all right, Jeff. Just, be careful. You can never be too safe, but I think it's going to be a success, and I think you'll get back in one piece, and hopefully the tour gets extended. I do got to wrap it up, though, because I got to start making dinner over here. I know your sweet lady's going to get home soon, too. But, again.
I always do the same thing. I cook for my sweet lady.
Yeah, got to keep your lady happy.
Working all day. I'm home practicing with the cats. And so we're about to both cook dinner for our sweet ladies.
Parallel universe out here.
Gematria of the word sweet lady.
Well, 33 like LAPD and police, so we both most definitely be shields. What will be in the next 33 compilation? But
and I can tell you, like, by the time if I know some of our friends that have gone to some of these crime things, but I think by the time they would get there in like a crime scene investigation, anything that's been staged has already been staged, because these people are not awake. Sure. And they are not. Then, like, she doesn't even understand the relation between police and Freemasonry. She has no.
She's not in the club.
It's crazy, dude. Yeah. How naive someone who works in this every day can be.
Sure.
It's crazy.
Sure.
She's also fully vaxxed, which concerns me as we are seeing everything happening. So we met, and she'd already vaxxed when we met. I'm not. My kids are somewhere on my Music Without Boundaries. You'll find pictures of my two blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls. They're 17 and 18, probably about turning 18 and 19 now. And my daughter, at the beginning of the scamdemic, I was talking to her on the phone, and she said, "Dad," because that's when I woke up. It was really thanks to a holistic doctor in Sarasota, Florida, who gave me this 2-video and book set called Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse. And he said, "Don't you dare vaccinate that child," when my ex-wife was pregnant. And that same child, all these years later, that same child, when the scamdemic broke out, called me on the phone and said, "Dad, I just want to thank you and Mom so much." And we've divorced and don't even speak. But just the fact my kid had the foresight and insight to say this, I was left in tears. But she said, "Dad, I just want to thank you and Mom so much for doing your due diligence and the research that you did when Ava and I were born and not vaccinating us." And she said, "Because I can tell you all of Ava and my friends, and these are my two daughters, all through our lives have been colds, flus, mumps, measles, anything you can name. And my kids have never been sick. Nothing ever. And they've never been vaccinated. All we ever treated them with, and people can Google, it's a great company. And I actually drove by it by accident when I was going to see a girlfriend out in Salt Lake City, Utah. The company's called Young Living Essential Oils. They make from diaper rash to shampoos, everything healthy, essential oils that you can use in your drinks, rub on your body. I use Lang Lang for a cologne, so you're not using all these alcohols and shit. Thieves oil for when you're flying. This is the essential oils that thieves used to use when they'd rob the pyramids and things so that they wouldn't get sick with all the disease and pestilence. So all we ever treated our children with was the blood of plants, which is essential oils, and that can heal. And you don't hear the American Medical Association preaching the benefits of essential oils to anyone. Right. But I have the case study. Anyone who wants to argue with me about vaccines can literally go fuck themselves, because I got the case studies. Sure. My two daughters, man. And my daughter that called me and said, all my friends have been sick, all Ava's friends through our whole life, and we've never been sick, Dad. And they thanked me. And I thought that was like, I did one thing right in this life. If nothing else, I did that.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a good way to end it, because that is good advice for the times. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was about a month or two back, the World Health Organization announced they're developing 500 new vaccines by 2030 for poorer nations. And what do you think that's really all about? Again, they said by 2030 they want to eliminate poverty, but what's the real plan to eliminate poverty? Is it not to possibly eliminate the poor populations, just like how when COVID came, they said the first people that are going to need to get vaccinated will be the people in the poorest communities? So anyhow, appreciate it, Jeff. And again, everybody out there, Jeff's new band, Kings of Thrash, going on tour real soon. Support the tickets as they come through your area. And also, if you want to check them out, maybe you can't make it to that region, they do have the new box DVD set coming out with their first shows as a band. So if you want to check it out.
Here's the upside, Zach. Here's the one thing. If this would be like the penultimate proof for you, man. If something did happen, then they definitely know I wasn't a shill.
Yeah, indeed.
And they'd know that everything you were saying was true. So.
Sure. Sure. I think it should. I mean, anyone with a brain already knows you're not a shill. Yeah, everybody with a brain should know you're not a shill. I mean, it's not like Miley Cyrus and Justin Bieber are helping share the Gematria knowledge, and we know that they're actually in the club. So.
Yeah, break words down. People like, did you know in Hebrew, Beyonce translates to once was a he, right? And Destiny's Child, everyone knows they were a tranny band. And that Destiny, look at Beyonce's mom, and if you can't tell that's a dude, you're brainwashed, because that's a dude, Beyonce's mom.
Sure.
Have a look, folks. It's hideous. It's a hideous sight.
Indeed.
And tonight's recommended movie, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch Idiocracy.
Yeah.
I tell everyone that I go to Trader Joe's, man, and people can't park. There's all the painted lines, and no one is parking in the lines. It's crazy, man. And a lady backed out and hit this dude, hit him. Huh. And I told him as I walked away, have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy? And he said, no. I said, you got to see it.
Yeah, it's turned into a documentary.
That's his homework. The Trader Joe's parking lot.
I wish we had a Trader Joe's. I used to do a lot of shopping at Trader Joe's. It's been a minute since I had one near where I live, moving these small towns. But all right, Jeff, again, really appreciate you coming on. And everybody out there, please go to the show if you're in his neck of the woods as he comes through town. And again, if you can't make it there, another great way to support Jeff is the DVD box set. And if you guys are new here, understand Jeff isn't. Jeff is one of the only people in the world of entertainment that's helped us get the word out. And if there's more Jeff Youngs in the world, we probably would have changed the world by now. So thank you as always, Jeff. And
Zach have seen some shit in our day.
Yeah, indeed. So, all right, friend. Well, stay healthy.
Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good night. Thanks, Jeff.
Ciao.
Take care. All right, you guys. We'll leave it there. And again, if you got here late, that was Jeff Young, former guitarist of Megadeth. Now he's part of the new band Kings of Thrash. They're about to go on tour. And he is curious. He's like, what's with the dates? Because he didn't choose the dates, but he's just like, it's crazy. We teach out 47 and 74. He's like, our tour starts on the 47th day of the year and ends on the 74th. I'm like, well, 47 is the ultimate rock number. So at the end of the day, the people you're working for, they might be in the know, but I guess you'll find out if it helps sell more tickets. So, but yeah, don't hold it against Jeff, you guys. He didn't get to choose the tour dates. He's just the man with the guitar skills. And again, the truth seekers have gone out to meet Jeff. Shout out to Rick James. Shout out to DK Stonewood. Shout out to the other people in the chat who said they went to his shows. They all made it home in one piece. And again, if you go introduce yourself to Jeff, he'd be happy to talk to you. As long as his guitar tech gave him a guitar strap that night. So, yeah, we'll leave it there. And I will pin the links and make them the top links in the description of the video for where you can get the tour dates, for where you can get the DVD box set, for you can subscribe to the Kings of Thrash YouTube channel, and for you can subscribe to Jeff Young's YouTube channels. Again, he has the Jeff Young YouTube channel, and he also has the Music Lives Live, and he has the Spreaker channel, which I think he's put on the back burner while he's practicing with the band. But yeah, it looks like it's been a minute since he actually did a show. He's been more of a musician performing lately, so I guess this show's been put on the back burner. But you know what? All these archived episodes are awesome if you want to go back and check it out. So Jeff, anytime I tuned into his show, he always had some great music, songs I'd never heard before. Earlier today, I was talking about that Madonna Illuminati song. Like I said, I learned about that from Jeff. I thought, wow, what a song she has. Madonna Illuminati, huh? So, all right. That's it for now, True Seeker. I did say I was going to do the live stream going after the guy who needs a roasting. I'll save that one for later. So right after I got off, Jeff said, hey, let's do a live stream. I got a minute. I said, all right, let's do that instead. That's a better idea. Rather than roasting the troll, let's promote Jeff Young. All right, you guys, have a good rest of your evening. And if you're like D26, have a great rest of your day. Till next time.